Hi, my name is Manfred Franke. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Neuronoff. We are a clinical stage medical device company working on chronic pain. The company was started in 2017, and it's good to be back at LSI. So in chronic pain, the normal progression is that after being referred to a pain specialist by a general practitioner, patients will usually get the least invasive therapy first before going to more expensive and more invasive therapies. The approach is such that you have drug treatments, physiotherapy, and similar interventions first before you go to drug injections. So over-the-counter drugs first, then prescription drugs, then drug injections, then usually radiofrequency ablation. And as you go through that, the price tag increases. So the insurance company is obviously trying to provide maximal benefit for you at the lowest cost to the insurance company. Once that you've passed that stage, you get to the point of surgical interventions very often. The problem with that approach is that it usually takes 5 years or longer to get to a point where patients actually are successfully treated. Our solution to that problem is that we provide a therapy where we inject our device, similar to how drugs are being injected, such as a lidocaine injection or a steroid injection. So we're in a similar kind of time frame as a steroid injection, but we have the advantage that we're utilizing neuromodulation that has the ability to treat pain in many different ways than drug injections can. It turns out that neuromodulation is the treatment that is being utilized when all other treatments have failed usually. But because neuromodulation requires an implant of a stimulator like a cardiac pacemaker, the cost to treat with that implant is relatively high, and insurance companies try to avoid these high costs so that they generally will take a less invasive approach first. Intervention takes very long for many patients to actually provide a therapeutic outcome that they're happy with. When I say very long, I mean something like 5 years, because with the mandate of providing first a less invasive and less costly and increasing in invasiveness and more cost therapeutic intervention pathway, drugs are being utilized first, devices are being utilized later. Chronic pain affects approximately 50 million individuals in the United States, essentially one person in every family. We believe that there is a need for a more elegant and simpler treatment that is more cost efficient so that it is easier for insurance companies to provide an earlier, more efficient treatment to patients. The problem that we're addressing with Neuronoff is to provide a less invasive, more elegant solution to treat chronic pain by injecting a small lead through a very, very tiny needle that I brought with me today that provides essentially an invisible treatment on the outside, but a neuromodulation treatment on the inside. Neuromodulation happens to be the therapeutic intervention that is being utilized usually at the very end of the treatment pathway in chronic pain. The reason for that is that when you implant something like cardiac pacemaker as a neurostimulator, that's very expensive. We remove the pacemaker, put that on the outside of the body, and just inject the lead, and thereby have a less invasive, more time efficient, and more cost efficient therapeutic intervention that we believe can come much, much earlier in the chronic pain treatment pathway. If you look into how chronic pain in neuromodulation is being treated today, you will realize that it is very typical for insurance companies to request a trial treatment before a permanent treatment. The trial is usually a 7 to 10 day period in order to verify that the patient is a responder to the electric stimulation, after which the permanent device is being implanted. The problem with the trial is that the wire sticks out of the body. So you have an external stimulator connected through the skin to the nerve of interest. For those 10 days, or for other certain companies for up to 60 days, you walk around with a wire sticking out of your body which may not be optimal for every patient. And we basically said, okay, we can achieve the same benefit like a trial lead, but with a device that can go to permanent right away. So this is the placement kit that we provide in the clinic for clinical trials, or that we're manufacturing now to bring it to market. Inside this needle in the middle is the Injectrode. This is the lead that we place into the body, which is significantly smaller than many other solutions out there. Once that this lead is injected, it's virtually invisible on the outside of the body. And then we place a stimulator, that is this device, with a patch. It magnetically clicks together. For example, if I want to stimulate pain in my elbow away, I would first place the device. Nothing sticks out. I can go home. Then put this device on the outside, turn it on, and I have a remote control to operate it. Plus, this remote control and this device, they're communicating via ultra-low power Bluetooth, meaning I have an app that I can use instead of this device, but I have the possibility to use both an external remote as well as the app. The app has the ability to program this device, allow the clinician and a later stage to send signals to the app, which then the patient can select to send to this device. So this device is able to actually provide different stimulation waveforms that are designed to be for different indications, for different specific pain locations. The benefit of this is that you allow the clinician a ability to check in on the use case of the device, as well as fine-tune the therapy. Think about it as the adjustment of the waveform being like a drug dosage optimization, but electronic drug. What you see here is actual product. I like to call it tangible reality, not virtual reality. This is not AutoCAD. This is not some idea on a computer. This is actual product, of which we are able to produce up to 1,000 units this year. This is what DARPA or NASA referred to as technology readiness level 7, meaning we have achieved a level of readiness that we are compiling the detailed description for all of these components within a quality management system so that it can be produced under ISO 13485 for market introduction once we've got FDA approval. We're planning to submit for 510(k) clearance later this year. The overall market size for chronic pain is a $78 billion market. The neuromodulation market is approximately $4 to $5 billion. And a typical pain physician will see anywhere between 150 and 250 patients per week. That means between 30 and 50 individual patients per day. If a pain physician is trying to treat 30 to 50 patients per day, the primary intervention has to be relatively time efficient, such as a steroid injection, lidocaine injection, or radiofrequency ablation. As a result of it, the majority of interventional pain physicians will choose interventions that are very cost efficient and very time efficient. Cost efficient for the insurance company, time efficient for the clinic and the clinician, in order to treat that many patients. So our solution is optimized to be able to fit into this 15 to 20-minute window for a therapeutic intervention for the clinician. Our current focus is getting our technology fully described and produced in significant numbers so we can finish the testing for the FDA submission. The FDA submission requires test results from outside testing houses on real manufactured product that is going to be manufactured the same way when it goes to market. In other words, what we're manufacturing right now is essentially marketable product once it is FDA approved. That is right now our focus. As a secondary step, we have started partnering with universities and different companies that want to utilize our technology as a platform technology for other conditions than chronic pain. As a result of that, we were able to collect data for bladder indications, such as overactive bladder or underactive bladder, sometimes together referred to as mixed bladder, in neurogenic and non-neurogenic cases. We have collected data for hypertension treatment possibilities, where we stimulate a nerve, which then causes blood pressure to stabilize or come down. And there is work underway for us to potentially treat autoinflammatory conditions such as rheumatoid arthritis, or potentially even a therapeutic intervention for obesity. We do not specifically get involved in great detail on these studies. We basically provide our intervention as a research device, as a platform. I mentioned that as a company, we're focused on getting our therapy to market for chronic pain. The reason for that is that chronic pain is our beachhead market. We need to make sure that we bring this to market with FDA clearance on a 510(k) pathway. Afterwards, this cleared device, this cleared technology becomes feasible as a stepping stone towards a de novo application for other indications. This is while we are focusing on getting this to market for chronic pain, other parties can utilize our technology for other indications, such as I mentioned, for bladder, hypertension, and autoinflammatory conditions, and then have a de novo pathway to get that therapy approved. But again, that is why our focus is get this to market under 510(k) as fast and as efficient as possible, and actually start generating revenue at the end of that step. We took the system that we tested in the clinical trial, took the learnings from the clinical trial into improvements, brought those to design freeze, and then started working with contract manufacturers on a fine-tuned design that we can mass produce up to 1,000 units. In medical device development, one thing that is important to recognize is there is the stage of a first prototype. The next stage is scaling this to 10, maybe 20 devices. After that, scaling this to 100 to 1,000 devices. Every time when you scale from 1 to 10 to 100 or 1,000, you have to optimize and fine-tune your manufacturing process. That step of going from 10 to 20 devices to a list of up to 1,000 devices in 1 year is a major milestone for us, because it enables us to lock in the manufacturing and thereby know for sure that what we're providing to the FDA can also be utilized in the market later on. Furthermore, we had FDA pre-sub meeting communication. We met with the FDA, aligned on our approval strategy, which led to our next steps now, finalizing the FDA pre-submission package in order to get this to the regulatory bodies in time later this year. One exciting development that is a very recent development that we had is we are finalizing agreements with a potential partner company that enables us to have an implantable pulse generator. So we will at that point have the ability to not just place the small injectable lead, but also have the ability to connect to a traditional IPG, implantable pulse generator. That is a very small footprint device, which then from a reimbursement perspective opens up the chronic device connected codes. So the codes that we're currently utilizing are optimized for time and efficiency. The other code, with being an implantable device that we can connect to, enables constant treatment without an outside device. There are certain patient populations that would like to have no implantable device besides just the lead, based on our communication with patients and clinicians. And there are other patients that, from a patient profile, probably would like to have 24/7 stimulation without a device on the outside. Being in the process of finalizing the agreements so that we have that pulse generator enables us to provide a better therapeutic intervention for all patients.